Hello everyone, my name is Anara and I'm happy to welcome you all to our Lingua T Club. Today I'd like to ask you a question. Do you know the differences between teacher-centered and learner-centered lessons? During the lesson, please keep this in mind. After the lesson, we will discuss it. I'll be working with the course book for the 4th grade. Let's go! Hello everyone, how are you today? Let's start our lesson. Our today's phrase is way of life. What do you think it means? Let's look at the pictures and try to guess. Do Kyrgyz people sit on the floor while eating? Yes, they do. Do many Kyrgyz families have a lot of children? Yes, they do. What do Kyrgyz people drink for breakfast? It's tea. Is it traditional or typical for Kyrgyz families to drink tea in the morning, to have many children? Yes, it is traditional. It's a Kyrgyz way of life. So our today's phrase is way of life. We use this phrase to talk about customs, norms, or certain people groups, and also about individual families and people. For example, way of life, how we live. It's way of plus noun. Way of eating means how people eat, sitting on the floor with forks or knives or hands. Way of learning, it means how you learn, by watching something, listening to teacher, or doing something with hands. In this stage, make your own sentences. Yes, good job. Let's talk about modern things. It's a mobile phone. How do you use your mobile phones? Do you use them only to make phone calls? I'm sure not. We don't use the telephones only for making phone calls. We use them to take pictures, shoot videos, chat with friends, and play games. What's traditional or typical for Kyrgyz? Kımız or cola? Yes, it's probably kımız. Let's make a sentence. Kyrgyz people drink kımız, but they don't drink cola very often. What about British people? British people don't usually drink kımız. Let's read the sentence. Kyrgyz people drink kımız, but they don't drink cola very often. Okay? British people don't usually drink kımız. So, let's make a negative sentence. We live in a house, but we do not have a pet. Do not is don't. Repeat, don't. Let's remember the structure. We and they is subject. Don't is an auxiliary verb. Have is a main verb. A pet is an object. So we have subject plus don't plus verb plus object. Let's practice and make sentences negative. We have a pet. We don't have a pet. They live in a house. They don't live in a house. They live in a flat. Kyrgyz people sit on the floor while eating. Kyrgyz people don't sit on the floor while eating, but it is a traditional way of eating. So, where do we put the auxiliary verb don't? Yes, we put it between subject and verb. Here is the formula. Look at the formula, write the sentences, and write the formula in your copybooks. Okay, now work with your partner and tell to your friends about your family and find 3 similarities and 3 differences. For example, we live in a flat. We don't drink hummus for breakfast. Okay, do you work alone? No, you work with a partner. What information do you find? Yes, you find similar and different information. You talk about your family. Don't forget. Let's practice. Okay, it's time to discuss together. Now, when someone is speaking, all of you listen to the person, and if the information is similar, you clap twice, okay? If the information is not similar, you don't do anything. Okay, when do you clap twice? Yes, if the information is similar. Good, well done. It's the end of our lesson for today. For your homework, think of the typical day in your life and in your family and prepare a poster about what things you do and what things you don't do. That's all for today. Goodbye. Dear teachers, I invite you to tea time. Can you recall how I started my lesson? I started with presenting a new phrase, way of life, which might be not very new for your students, but anyway, why do you think I did it? I just wanted to breathe fresh air into our lesson. What about grammar? We had some grammar with negatives for pronouns we and they. Students were given 2 names of famous drinks, cola and hummus. Based on the students' background knowledge, they were supposed to make negative sentences. Let me emphasize here, I could just give my students a sentence in positive form and ask them to change it into negative one. As I live in Bishkek, I don't live in Bishkek. But why didn't I do that? Yes, I wanted to note that presenting a negative form is important to be given in a meaningful way, but not just give the positive form and change it into negative one. It should be given in a meaningful context in comparing some things or activities. Did you pay attention to colors I used in the presentation? They were blue and red in order to catch children's attention to the form being presented. What about the interaction while grammar presentation? Was there only a teacher working? No. Remember, at the beginning I asked you if you knew the difference between teacher-centered and learner-centered lessons. What did you notice in this lesson? Was it learner-centered or teacher-centered? We can judge that this activity was learner-centered rather than teacher-centered or authoritative, because the teacher wasn't the only one who gave the correct answer or sentence. If it was a real class, I'm sure the students would be able to give the negative form. Please share with us with your thoughts if you already had taught this class, how you did it. And if you are planning to teach this class, are you going to use any activities from the video lesson? Please share with us how you did it. Going back to my lesson, after I gave the structure of the negative sentence, why do you think I just didn't repeat the sentence and have students copy it into their notebook from the board? Do you remember what I did instead? Yes, I gave them a formula of the sentence. Why is it important? Let's sum up. Use some phrases connected to your lesson. It helps to lead into your lesson in a more interesting way. Ask your students more questions. Make them think. Keep them focused. Use different colors while presenting new grammar, new structure, and also ask your students to use different colors because it helps to remember the structure better. Always ask questions to check understanding of instructions. And also use some kinesthetic activities to keep your students active, involved, and interested. There are always many ideas how we could engage our students and make them learn efficiently. On my part, I would be interested to learn from you and see how you do grammar presentation. Thanks for joining today. See you.
Welcome to Lingua Teapot!